A memorial service for the woman killed in that car attack in Charlottesville over the weekend is scheduled to start in about 30 minutes. Heather Heyer was killed when a car plowed through a crowd of protesters on Saturday. Friends and family remember her as a strong woman who spoke out against inequality and urged others to be active in their communities.
She loved everybody. She didn't one color or the other color. She loved everybody. You know, she was a good person all the way around. And you know, I want to see good come out of her death. And if that's what it takes, you know, for people to come together and stop the hating over this part of the history.
Ellison Barber joins us now live from Charlottesville, Virginia. Okay, Ellison, that service starts about an hour or so. What's the turnout been so far?
Well, people started to line up outside of the theater at about 9 a.m., 2 hours before the ceremony is supposed to begin, and the line went all the way down this area where I'm standing now. They call it the mall. They just started letting people go in about 20 minutes ago, and most people have made it inside. Many of the people here are wearing purple. That's because it's Heather's favorite color, and that's something her parents asked people to do when they came to this memorial today. Heather Heyer grew up in this area, and she lived and worked here as an adult in the city, and today this city will begin to try and say goodbye to her. Heyer decided to protest the white supremacist rally with a few friends, and they say she was not part of an official group and was walking across the street when a white supremacist rammed his car into Heyer and dozens of other counter-protesters.
She was a great soul. She was a sweet, sweet soul. She always spoke with conviction, stood up for what she believed in. She liked to make you laugh. She's just a warm soul, and she believed in equality, and she didn't want hate.
19 others were injured in the attack. Shannon?
All right, Ellison, we heard from her stepfather there. I mean, so eloquent, saying that he wanted some good to come of this loss and talking about possibly this ending some of the hatred between these two sides. You're speaking to friends of hers as well. How are they remembering her?
They're all saying pretty much the exact same thing. They say she was spunky, she liked to make people laugh, and she always stood up for what she believed in. I spoke to a bunch of people waiting in line. One person had lived near her. They'd grown up kind of in the same community, their families, and they said, I remember her as a kid being like she is now. She's someone who stood up for what she believed in. We spoke to a few of her friends at a vigil they had for her on Sunday night, and two of them were actually with Heather when the attack happened. They said simply, you know, this shouldn't have happened to her. Heather shouldn't have died, but at the same time, they didn't want her death to be in vain. They said for her, she was a person who loved other people, and they want people to look at her photo and think of love, and they really want people to remember that she stood up for what she believed in, and she didn't like seeing other people being treated unfairly or unequal or hating each other. It's interesting, you know, James Fields Jr. is the person charged in this crime, but I have to tell you, Shannon, here, that's not a name anyone is saying. The focus is on Heather Heyer and her life and how she lived up until that day and that day. Shannon?
As it should be, as we hear the strains of Amazing Grace behind you there. Ellison Barber in Charlottesville, thank you.